So guys, in today's video we are going to look the reduction of aldehydes and ketones. Reduction of aldehydes and ketones. Yes. So basically, when we are dealing with the reduction reaction, first and the foremost thing we have to know that what do you mean by this reduction? Yes. So of course we can define the reduction with respect to the two major aspects. That is, it could be the addition of hydrogen or removal of oxygen. Yes. So this was with respect to the atoms. If I want to state the reduction definition with respect to the electrons, I can easily say that it would be the addition of electrons. Yes or no? So basically in our concept we are going to utilize the first part. That is, it may be an addition of hydrogen or removal of oxygen. Of course this is one of the most interesting and important points, or we can say important concept to know, because whatever the reduction reactions we are going to see, they are the named reactions. Okay. So first of all, let us deal with an important named reaction which is called as Clemmensen reduction. Clemmensen reduction. So what does it say? Basically, it's a reaction in which our aldehydes and ketones are reduced to hydrocarbons. Please mark my words, are reduced to hydrocarbons. That is, we can say in generally that is C double bond O group has been converted to that of your CH2 group. C double bond of the carbonyl group has been converted to that of your methyl group, that is CH2 group. Remember, using a reducing agent, zinc amalgam in concentrated HCl. Zinc amalgam in concentrated HCl. So this is what our Clemmensen reduction is stating. So what it is saying, so it's a reaction in which we are reducing the aldehydes or ketones to hydrocarbons. And how they is doing so? We are converting the carbonyl group to that of your CH2 group. And how is this made possible? By using the reducing agent. And what is that reducing agent? Zinc amalgam in concentrated HCl. So let us look after certain important reactions over here. C double bond O. So I'm just taking a general reaction. If it is a ketone, here both will be an alkyl or aryl groups. In case if it is an aldehyde, one of the group will be a hydrogen. Okay. So when you are treating such carbonyl compounds in the presence of zinc amalgam, okay, and also along with concentrated HCl, we could note that that character, that is your double bond, will get reduced with that of your H2. So we are getting what? C double bond O is getting converted to that of your CH2. For example, let us look after a formaldehyde, H, C double bond O and a H. So when this is treated with zinc amalgam in concentrated HCl, so what will be our getting? H, C, H, H and a H. That means we are getting methane. What we are getting? Methane. And how we are getting? From methanol. From methanol we are getting methane. Is that clear? Let us go with another example. CH3C double bond O and a H. So when you are treating with zinc amalgam in concentrated HCl, in a concentrated HCl, so what you can just note over here, CH3CH. So in place of double bond O, we are getting as 2H. So what would be called as CH3CH3? That is your ethane. That is from ethanol. That is from ethanol. Similarly, if I take for example a benzaldehyde, this is C6H5, I directly write it as C double bond O and a H. So remember, in the presence of zinc amalgam in concentrated HCl, so what is your task? So now here you will be getting as what? methyl benzene. Yes, CH in place of double bond O, you are getting as 2 hydrogens. Yes or no? So whatever we are doing is a reduction reactions. Similarly, if I take an acetone, CH3, C double bond O and a CH3. So this one in the presence of zinc amalgam in concentrated HCl. So you will be having as a CH3 single bond CH2 single bond CH3 plus H2O. That is from acetone, or we can say from propanone. From propanone we are getting as what? Propane. We are getting as propane. Very much important. So whatever we are talking over here as a Clemmensen reduction, you could just see that when does you are doing a Clemmensen reduction, we are reducing the carbonyl compounds to hydrocarbons. Very much important. I will be saying why it is important. Of course, you can only note it by referring to your alcohol chapter. So by then you just remember now for a while that whenever a carbonyl compound is treated with a zinc amalgam in a concentrated HCl, we are getting as an alkenes, or we can say as a hydrocarbons. Is that clear? So this is called as what? Your Clemmensen reduction. But it doesn't stop over here. We are having a one more reduction which is called as Wolff-Kishner reduction. Wolff-Kishner reduction. Of course, it is also a reduction reaction, and more particularly here also we are reducing the carbonyl compounds to hydrocarbons itself. The only difference is what? We are changing the reagent. So what is that reagent? Let us look for. So basically it's a reaction in which your aldehydes and your ketones are reduced to hydrocarbons. By treating with, please mark my words, hydrazine. By treating with hydrazine, yes, followed by treatment with NaOH, that is your alkali medium, or your KOH, any alkali medium you can use in the presence of a high boiling solvent. And generally that solvent will be ethylene glycol. Nearly it is having 191 degrees Celsius as the boiling point. So what is the main difference between the two? If you just see with respect to Clemmensen and Wolff-Kishner, about the reagent. We'll talk about this reagent once again. Okay, but now let us look after this Wolff-Kishner reduction. The main concept is same. You are reducing the carbonyl compounds to hydrocarbons itself. But the one difference is what? The reagent. In Clemmensen we have used zinc amalgam in a concentrated HCl, whereas in a Wolff-Kishner we are using what? A hydrazine in the presence of KOH and ethylene glycol. So of course the reaction, we know that whenever a carbonyl compound is treated with a hydrazine, we have looked at, yes, the nucleophilic addition reaction we are going to get. So we will be getting C double bond NNH2, that is hydrazone. Alva, whenever a carbonyl compound is treated with a hydrazine, first we are getting what? Hydrazone. Then treating this hydrazone in the presence of your KOH and ethylene glycol, the final product whatever we are going to get, it will be our hydrocarbon. Is that clear? So this is what it says about Wolff-Kishner reduction. Now one question arises within our mind. So what is the main difference between the two? Of course, the first important thing we could just note over here itself. What is that? So when we were seeing the Clemmensen reduction reaction, of course what we saw, it was in the presence of an acidic medium. What it was? In the presence of an acidic medium. But when you are saying for a Wolff-Kishner reduction, we are saying it is in the presence of a basic medium. That is the first prime difference. Now you can ask me the second question. So what is the logic behind this? There is a much logic we'll come to know when we will deal with the concept called as an acid sensitive groups and basic sensitive groups, or base sensitive groups. Base sensitive groups. So guys, in order to understand about this acid sensitive groups and a base sensitive groups, I would like to give the explanation by taking an example. For example, let me consider a compound is in this way. Yes, that is your cyclohexane is having a carbonyl group, okay, and it is also having a hydroxy group. Now what happens when you are subjecting such a compound to your Wolff-Kishner reduction reactions, that is N in the presence of hydrazine and KOH in ethylene glycol, and over here if I am using zinc amalgam in concentrated HCl. Of course we know what is that, whatever we have learned so far, the carbonyl compounds gets reduced to hydrocarbons in both the cases. But when we are seeing the product, in this case, that is my first case when I am saying, of course I would be getting what, this double bond will be getting reduced, and here I am going to get as a 2 hydrogens, and here the OH will be as such. OH will be as such. But when the same compound is subjected to that of your zinc amalgam in a concentrated HCl, it is not so. So what is happening over there? So your, of course your carbonyl group has been reduced, but along with that the OH has been substituted with that of your Cl. So this part we have to understand over here as per your competitive exams. Why is it happening so? So in order to understand this, first we have to understand about this acid sensitive groups and base sensitive groups. What are those? First of all, let us deal with acid sensitive groups. Yes. So acid sensitive groups means what? These groups are attacked by acids. I repeat, these groups are attacked by acids. Yes. If these groups are present and if you are using an acidic medium, of course the proton of an acid is going to attack these groups. First point. Second most important point, these groups are generally electron donors, or they will be having spare electrons. They will be having spare electrons. Yes. So first and foremost thing we came to know that acid sensitive. The name itself is indicating these groups are sensitive towards the acid. That is, they are easily attacked by the acids. Second most important thing, why they are attacked? Of course we know that whenever an acid is there, it will be giving you H+. So that H+ should attack the group means what? They should be having some electron rich density. This is negatively charged, and that is coming from where? Because of these electron donors, or they will be having certain spare electrons. And do remember over here, such groups are easily affected. They are easily affected by Clemmensen reduction reactions. They are easily affected by Clemmensen reduction reactions. The question arises, why is it so? If you can just note over here, in the Clemmensen reduction reaction, we are using a concentrated HCl. So we are using an acidic medium. So whenever a group which is acid sensitive, of course, they will also get reduced because of the acidic medium. So in order to understand when does this acid groups or acid sensitive groups will not be attacked, remember they are not affected by Wolff-Kishner reductions. Wolff-Kishner, I can say instead of saying as a reaction, Wolff-Kishner reagent. Wolff-Kishner reagent. That is, if they are acid sensitive, they will be neutral towards the base. So in base, where we are using in the Wolff-Kishner. So that is the reason whenever a basic medium is existing, so such acid sensitive groups will be remaining as such. Is that clear? So let us take some examples of these acid sensitive groups. Remember, it could be a hydroxy group, it could be your alkenes, it could be your alkynes, it could be even your acetal group. Please do remember acetal. We have seen over here hemiacetal and acetal. Yes, The same acetal groups are also acid sensitive groups. Similarly, your ammonia, even our nitrogen oxide, that is NO2. Yes. So what we came to know that acid sensitive groups are the groups which are easily attacked by the acids, which are having the electron donors, or they will be having the spare electrons. So there such groups are present and you are doing a Clemmensen reduction, means of course those part will also get reduced. Okay, those groups will also get reduced. But in case if you want to intact adri yav taradu change agbardu andre, we can't do the Clemmensen. You can easily do that reactions, but namage carbonyl group matra reduce agbeku, acid sensitive group hagene irbeku andre, instead of doing the Clemmensen reduction you have to do the Wolff-Kishner. So examples of such acid sensitive groups are OH, alkenes, alkynes, acetal groups, NH3, NO2. Is that clear? Now easily you can only say about base sensitive groups. All are the vice versa of these, whatever the above points we have written. So first important point, these groups are easily attacked by base. Easily attacked by base. Yes. Second most important thing, so what you can say, they are electron seekers. That is, they are in the need of electrons. So these groups are in the need of electrons. Similarly, if I go with the third point, what you can say, they are easily affected by Wolff-Kishner reagents. Easily affected by Wolff-Kishner reagents. And they are not affected by Clemmensen reduction or Clemmensen reagents. If I go with the examples of these base sensitive groups, it could be your oic acid, carboxylic acid group. It could be even your esters, even your amides, and that of your BH3 borane. Yes. So these are some of the base sensitive groups. So once we have got the idea of what do you mean by acid sensitive and base sensitive along with the examples, now let us go back to that of our reaction which I have given you earlier. So of course in the reactant, just neglect all this part, just we will focus on the reactant. We are having the carbonyl group, of course we are having, but along with the carbonyl group we could also notify that we are having another group. So in that case, you have to see now what are the reagents we are using. Okay, we are using Clemmensen and that of your Wolff-Kishner. So what we know, then we have to predict whether this is an acid sensitive or a base sensitive. Of course, this is an acid sensitive group. Alva, this is an acid sensitive group. So whenever you are subjecting this acid sensitive group to that of your Clemmensen reduction, one concept we should come to know that, of course, this will also get changed. Reduction aage agutte. But if we don't want this part to be changed, of course, what we have to do, we have to take a basic medium. And that is available with respect to the Wolff-Kishner. So that is the reason when the compound was treated with the hydrazine, KOH and ethylene glycol, that is your Wolff-Kishner reagent, you could just see that the C double bond O group has only been reduced and OH group remains as such. But when the same compound was treated with a zinc amalgam in a concentrated HCl, that is an acidic medium, what happens? This H plus goes and attacks your lone pair of electrons on the oxygen. It becomes OH2 plus. In order to balance that plus, now H2O goes out. So what happens here? Positive signs come from the Cl minus that is existing, that goes and attacks. So that is the reason OH will be replaced with that of your chlorine. Is that clear? So let us take with some other examples. Very much important to note these points. So if I am thinking a same compound and instead of having OH, I would be using my NH2. I would be using my NO2. Remember? So when it is subjected, first of all you have to note, okay, it is a carbonyl compound. So when you are using an assay, this one, hydrazine in the presence of KOH and ethylene glycol. So what will be happening? This is an acid sensitive group. So this will be having no effect in the basic medium. So what you will be getting over here directly, so in the place of carbonyl you will be having the two hydrogens and this part NO2 will remain as such. Yes or no? Similarly, which we are doing with a zinc amalgam in a concentrated HCl, please mark my words, very much important. Many times this question has been repeated. So here you will be getting what? Of course your carbonyl will be getting reduced to hydrogens. But along with that one, this is an acid sensitive group. It is an acid sensitive group, so it will be easily attacked by a proton. So here you will be getting the NO2 gets reduced to that of your amines, that is your NH2. NO2 is getting reduced to NH2. Very much important part. Is that clear? So when it is changing, how we came to know that it is getting reduced? Because it is an acid sensitive group. You can just note over here what is the example I have given. So OH, alkenes, alkynes, acetal, NH3, NO2. So it is an acid sensitive group. Very much important part. You have to remember these. Okay. Now let me give you one simple question. So here, let me take a compound is in this one acetal group is present, and here you are having a double bond. So now in the competitive exams, they can ask you by giving the reagent and predict the product. Of course, they will be giving you many options. Or in simple terms, they will be giving you the reactant and even the product. So they will ask you what type of a reagent you can use so that you can get the product what has been given to you. So like this is your product. So now the tendency is what we came to know by seeing the product. Yes, your double bond O has been reduced to that of your high carbon. Notice, you can write like this, HH you can write, even you cannot write means also is understood. Okay, but don't leave like this because it means CH3CH. In case if you're writing the lines, you write it as HH. In case if you're not writing, doesn't matter, it is understood that it is having a hydrogen. Is that clear? So what we are observing over here, okay, carbonyl group has been converted to that of your hydrocarbon. So one important point gets strikes to our mind that it should be either a Clemmensen or a Wolff-Kishner. Alva, either Clemmensen ಆಗಿರಬೇಕು ಇಲ್ಲ Wolff-Kishner ಆಗಿರಬೇಕು. ಯಾಕೆ carbonyl compound has been reduced to hydrocarbon. Now the question arises whether it is a Clemmensen reagent we have to use or whether we have to use a Wolff-Kishner reagent. So then what we have to do, you have to go with the what type of a group it is having. Of course, it is an acetal group. In the reactant we are observing it is an acetal group. But when you are seeing the product, that acetal group is as it is. That acetal group has not been changed, it is as it is. We know what acetal is which type of a group, whether it's an acid sensitive or a base sensitive. It is an acid sensitive group. Alva. Since if you have used a Clemmensen reduction, it should have been reduced to alcohol. Alva, you make a note, alcohol na take the chapter na take the. You just note over there how to do your acetal. Now, when your carbonyl compounds are treated with your alcohols, we are getting first a hemiacetal. When you are using a 1 more mole of an alcohol, we will be getting an acetal. The same compounds we are using over here. And do I have mentioned over there, it is an equilibrium. You can, if you are using certain mineral acids, that reaction can again turn back and give you the corresponding carbonyl compounds. This is a different fact. But here now what I am talking is, here acetal group is as it is. It has not been changed. That means what? Though it is an acid sensitive group, but it has not been changed. That means what? We have maintained a basic medium. We have maintained a basic medium, and we know that that basic medium should be hydrazine in the presence of KOH in ethylene glycol. So this is an example of our Wolff-Kishner reduction. Wolff-Kishner reduction. So like these questions can arise in your competitive exams depending upon the application oriented. Alva. Though like these questions are not included in your NCERT textbook, but when you're coming with respect to the organic chemistry, you should be much aware of applications. That is about what type of a reagents, is there any further uses? Okay, I will be saying many more uses. Okay, why I would like to say is because whatever the product you're going to get, it depends upon these reagents. It is going to depend upon these reagents. So let's have a quick revision of what we have done today. So basically we have talked today about Clemmensen reduction, and we came to know that it's a reduction of your carbonyl compounds to hydrocarbons in the presence of zinc amalgam in a concentrated HCl. Yes. So basically we also came to know that it's an acidic medium we have to maintain. And one more important thing, of course you can have asked me, so why does we can't use only zinc in concentrated HCl? Why we are using zinc amalgam itself? Do remember guys, we know that whenever a metal is being treated with an acid, hydrogen gases evolve. So that hydrogen itself is used for the reduction purpose. But what happens when this hydrogen is evolved is in the form of H2, it's in the form of gas. Alva, easily it can easily be escaping out. In order to trap it, in order to trap that hydrogen and make it available for the reduction, this amalgam plays a vital role. That is your mercury. Amalgam means a metal with a mercury is generally called as an amalgam. But this mercury's major tendency is what? It is trapping whatever the hydrogen is getting evolved, so that hydrogen can be used for the reduction of your carbonyl compound. That is the reason instead of using just zinc, we are using what? Zinc amalgam in a concentrated HCl. Okay. So there we came to know that whenever such a medium you are using, your carbonyl compounds is getting reduced to hydrocarbons. Coming to another part of your Wolff-Kishner reduction, there we are using a basic medium. Of course, the reactant is same, the product is same, but whatever the reagent is there, that is different. That is, we are maintaining the hydrazine in the presence of basic medium, that is your KOH and ethylene glycol. Of course, first you are going to, as we have seen, whenever you're treating your carbonyl compounds with hydrazine, first of all you will be getting a hydrazone. Treating that hydrazone with KOH and ethylene glycol, you will be getting your respective hydrocarbon. Yes. Then we came to know certain additional information. What was that? If, for example, for you has been given with a compound which is having, other than a carbonyl group, some other groups. Now the question arises whether those groups will also get reduced or not. So in that case, you have to remember, guys, what is that? Whenever you have an acid sensitive groups, so those groups will easily get reduced in the presence of Clemmensen reactions. Is that clear? But in case if the present groups, if it is a base sensitive, then they will be getting reduced with respect to the Wolff-Kishner reduction. But if a question has been arised that there should be no change in an additional group, then you have to look that whether it's an acid sensitive or a base sensitive. So in this example, it was an acid sensitive, and the question is that I want my final product in such a way that only the carbonyl group should get reduced and OH should remain as it is. So since it is an acid sensitive, I have to use a basic medium where it will become insensitive. So that is the reason in a Wolff-Kishner reduction, it has been, carbonyl group has been reduced, but OH remains as it is. But when the same reactant was treated with that of your Clemmensen reduction reagents, we just see that OH has been converted to that of your Cl. Is that clear? Of course, here I have given certain important points, that what do you mean by an acid sensitive groups and what do you mean by as a base sensitive groups, along with the examples. Now I would just like to give an important note in order to make you understand and aware that how much important the reagents are, under the concept of importance of reagents. And majorly I would like to cover here reducing reagents or reducing agents. Of course, whatever we have dealt in our alcohols also we have looked for. Why I am saying so? You can just note that when you were saying for the alcohols chapter, just to close your eyes and just recall it. When you are treating the carbonyl compounds in the presence of lithium aluminium hydride. Okay, just note it down once again. When you are treating the carbonyl compounds in the presence of lithium aluminium hydride, what you are getting? You are getting as an alcohols. Similarly was in the case of sodium borohydride. But when the same carbonyl compounds are treated with your zinc amalgam in a concentrated HCl or a hydrazine in KOH and ethylene glycol, the same carbonyl compounds are getting reduced to what? Hydrocarbons. You're getting to what? Hydrocarbons. So that is the importance of your reagents. We can alter the products by using the same reactants. You'll come to know if I give certain important examples over here. So I'm using the concept as we have studied earlier with respect to the preparation of alcohols from carbonyl compounds. I repeat, whatever the reaction now I'm going to give you, it is from the preparation of your alcohols from carbonyl compounds. Okay, you just note over here how much important the reagents are to derive a particular type of the products. As I mentioned, if I was having CH3 CHO, what is it? Yes, it is called as what? Ethanol. It is your ethanol. So when this ethanol was reduced in the presence of palladium catalyst, that is hydrogen in the presence of palladium. Of course, we are doing the reduction, but what is the main tendency? We are using a palladium catalyst. So here we could note that whenever we are talking in this way, I have mentioned that your aldehydes were giving you what? primary alcohol, CH3CH2OH. Yes. Let me take today's concept. That is CH3CHO, same ethanol. It is also undergoing the addition of hydrogen itself, but through the medium of what? Zinc amalgam in concentrated HCl. Zinc amalgam in concentrated HCl. So here what you're going to get, of course, if I am going to write, I could write it as CH3C double bond O and a H. So this part has been reduced to CH3, CH2, and this H will be remaining. So CH3, CH3. Yes or no? So what is it? Ethane. I am getting as what? Ethane. Can you see the difference? Similarly, it doesn't stop over here. If I took a ketone, for example, CH3, C double bond O, CH3, and I'm going to use it in the presence of sodium borohydride, NaBH4. Of course, in the alcohols lesson I have said you, whenever you are reducing the ketones, you are going to get a secondary alcohol, CH3, CHOH, CH3. But if the same acetone, or you can say also propanone, if the same propanone was treated with your hydrazine or clemenza, anyone I can use, KOH in ethylene glycol, what would we have seen? The same propanone will be getting converted to CH3, CH2, CH3. That is your propane. Can you see the differences, guys? So whatever we are playing with the products, it is only depending upon what type of a reagents you are using. So reagents plays a vital role in our organic reaction. That is what I want to signify over here. So very much important reagents you should remember is certain about lithium aluminum hydride. Of course, if you have used a lithium aluminum hydride also, you have got the alcohols itself. Only in the presence of, as per your syllabus, only in the presence of your zinc in concentrated HCl and that of your hydrazine in the presence of ethylene glycol, we are able to convert your carbonyl compounds to hydrocarbons. If the same carbonyl compound is treated with a lithium aluminum hydride, once again, if it is a aldehyde, you will be getting a primary alcohol. If it is a ketone, you will be getting a secondary alcohol. Similarly, you have to remember about the sodium borohydride, even your whatever zinc amalgam in concentrate. So these are some important reducing reagents. Okay, they have just given you the hint in your NCERT textbook. So you should have a wide variety of knowledge about these reagents. Why I'm saying so? Because once again in competitive exams it will be not so simple. They will be giving some other groups. They will be giving like carboxylic acid, esters. For example, if you take about lithium aluminum hydride, it can easily reduce even your carboxylic acid, but that is not in the case of your sodium borohydride. So sodium borohydride carboxylic acid na reduce madakagala. The lithium aluminum hydride reduce madbahudu. So they will be giving you like that additional questions. Of course, that cannot be found in your textbooks. You have to only read it once and you should get to know. Okay, if you are using like this lithium aluminum hydride, so then these reducing agents have what are the capacities or what are their capabilities. Similarly, what are their limitations? What type of a medium they require to act as a reducing agent. So these are an additional information. You should only dig it out and you should make it a note before you are preparing for your competitive exams. So why I have given this an example only to ensure you that see how does by using the different reagents the different products are obtained though the reactants are same. Okay, but in today's concept we have come to know what is that we are reducing the carbonyl compounds to hydrocarbons. I repeat, don't get confused. We are reducing the carbonyl compounds to our hydrocarbons. Whereas in alcohols, we have seen the same carbonyl compounds were reduced to alcohols. And what is the major theta over there? Only with respect to their reagents. So uttermost care has to be taken. You cannot say blindly, new carbonyl compound reduce madin sigutte. You should ask that fellow, sir, what type of a reagent you are going to use. Okay, then we can say well, what type of a product you are going to get. It is not a universal truth that if you are going to reduce carbonyl compounds, you should get alcohol itself. It is not a case. You can even get hydrocarbons. That is the reason I have given you these examples. Is that clear? So you should have a well-equipped knowledge of the important reducing agents. Okay, so this was about today's reduction reaction. Next, let us look after an oxidation reaction. Oxidation reaction of our carbonyl compounds. So guys, basically the oxidation of carbonyl compounds, we call these reactions as a haloform reaction. You'll come to know why it is called as. But before that, you should remember that whatever the reaction we're talking about in today's class is with respect to the oxidation of the carbonyl compounds, is called as what? Haloform reaction. And basically these reactions involves the oxidation of methyl ketones. Oxidation of methyl ketones. You'll come to know by seeing certain examples. Okay, but before that one, we have to understand that what type of a ketones will undergo these reactions. Remember, the ketones or aldehydes, we can take any one, any of the things, ketones or even your aldehydes. But in these aldehydes or ketones, what should be there? In which a CH3 group has to be attached to the carbonyl carbon, has to be attached to the carbonyl carbon. Such a reactant itself can undergo this haloform reaction. How is that possible? So when these ketones in which your methyl group is present and which has been attached to that of your carbonyl carbon is heated with sodium hypohalide, that is, for example, general notification, we can just say it as Na. Sodium hypohalide means NaOX. So whenever you are having such a reagent, so NaOX is called as what? Sodium hypohalide. So basically this is an oxidizing agent. Whatever we are using over here, oxidation process, the oxidizing agent is your sodium hypohalide. Okay. So ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, oxidation takes place. Of course oxidation ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾವ ತರ oxidation ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, the sodium salt of carboxylic acid is obtained. Sodium salt of carboxylic acid is obtained, and along with that we would be getting our haloforms. So this is an important part in going to read around your haloform reaction. ಈಗ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಉಂಟು ಯಾಕೆ ನಾವು ಈ reaction haloform ಅಂತೀವಿ? Because one of the important byproduct we are getting to get, that is your haloforms. ಈ haloforms, it could be a chloroform, it could be a iodoform, depends. Chlorine idre chloroform, iodine idre iodoform, bromine idre bromoform, like that. So general we call it as what? Haloforms. You come to know when we are using the reactions. As they have said, first you have to use your aldehydes or ketones which is having a methyl group which is attached to the carbonyl group. Alright, this is an example for such. General quotidian. So when such compounds are treated in the presence of, for example, NaOX, so what they have said, whenever aldehydes or ketones having a methyl group attached to the carbonyl carbon is heated with sodium hypohalides, yes, oxidation takes place to give you what? Sodium salt of a carboxylic acid. ಯಾಕೆ ಇದನ್ನು ಹಂಗೆ ಅಂತೀವಿ? ಈಗ Na ಬದಲು ಹೆಚ್ಚಿದ್ರೆ ಕಾರ್ಬೋಕ್ಸಿಲಿಕ್ ಆಸಿಡ್ ಆಗೋದು. ಅದು ಇಲ್ಲೇನಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ? This is Na plus COO minus. It is having a two charges, like a salt. It is salt of what? Carboxylic acid. And what is there as a cation? Sodium. So sodium salt of a carboxylic acid plus what will be having now? CHX3. And this is called as what? Haloform. If this X was Cl, it would be called as a chloroform. If this X was I, it would be called as an iodoform. But since we have given a general, it is having a called as what? Haloform. And this is called as what? Sodium salt of carboxylic acid. But what important note you can just notify over here, you just see, in the reactant we were having the 2 carbon atoms. Yes or no? But in the product we are having just 1 carbon atom. So what we are noting over here is, whatever the product we are getting, it is having 1 carbon atom less than that of your used reactant. For example, if I would used as a CH3C double bond O CH3, yes, and NaOX, they will see you identify the product, and they have given you, for example, I give you certain options: CH3CO Yes, or they will be giving you as CH3, CH2, COONA, or they can give you CH3, CH2, CH2, COONA. Yes, so identify the product. So what you will think, okay, here it was having 1, 2, 3 carbon atoms, and in the option B it is also having 1, 2, 3 carbon atoms. So this would be right, but that is wrong. That is the reason I'm explaining you over here. So from the reactant, when you're considering the sodium salt of carboxylic acid, it is having 1 carbon atom less. So the product will be our A. So it was having the 3 carbon atoms. So whatever the sodium salt you're getting, it is only having the 2 carbon atoms. So this is right, and whatever option you have selected will be wrong. So such important view you should be having whenever you're dealing with the reaction. Study the product once again. Just don't go with its name. You just see, calculate the number of the carbon atoms. Okay, in both the cases it is same. Okay, we are getting the same part. In case if it is different, you see whether it is higher or whether it is lower. Okay, it matters a lot, because in order to confuse you, they will be giving like these options, and it becomes a vital task to know that whether the obtained product is having the same number of carbon atoms or different number of carbon atoms when considered with respect to its reactants. Is that clear? Very much important. And one more important thing I would just like to note over here. Can this haloform reaction takes place with respect to your formaldehyde? Can I do my haloform reaction, or can I oxidize my formaldehyde, that is your methanol, under this haloform reaction? Is my question. Yes, of course not. Why is it so? Because when you're writing the haloform, how will you write HC double bond OH? And in order to do the haloform reaction, what they have said, a methyl group should be present to that of be attached to your carbonyl carbon. But here we are noting that it is not having any CH3 groups, so therefore it will not undergo your haloform reaction. Or in simple words, we cannot oxidize your formaldehyde in haloform reaction. We can oxidize the formaldehyde some other reaction, but not in the haloform reaction. Very much important part. And one more important part I would just try to recall by giving you an example over here. So I will just give you one example. CH3CH double bond C, CH3 C double bond O, and a CH3. Of course, when it is subjected to, for example, NaOCl, sodium hypochlorite, okay, because I have used particularly over here as a Cl. So do remember the final product, whatever you're going to get, CH3 double bond C single bond CH3, and over here you will be getting a COONA. So no, COONA plus CHCl3, that is your chloroform. But why I have used this example, because remember, this sodium hypohalide is such an oxidizing agent, it is only going to oxidize your carbonyl carbon and not that of your double bond. It is not affecting your double bond. You can just see reactant and product, in both the cases we are having the double bond at the same position, which states what? Whatever the hypohalides we are using, it is not affecting our multiple bonds present in our methyl ketones. One more important note you have to remember about this reagent. Okay, so coming to another part, okay, how these sodium hypohalides are used. For example, if I am going to give you as CH3 C double bond O CH3, of course you'll come to know if I write as NaOI, of course it's a haloform reaction. But do remember, this sodium hypoiodide is actually prepared how you should be remembering. So whenever NaOH plus I2 you're going to react, you're going to get as what? Sodium hypoiodide. Not only that case, NaOH plus Cl2 gives you NaOCl, NaOH plus Br2 you'll be giving you as NaOBr, like that such reaction system. Why I'm saying this? In certain cases they will not give you this directly. Instead of that, they will give you as ketone reacting in the presence of NaOH plus I2. So you should come to your brain. What is that? Okay, NaOH plus I2 means what? It is going to give you what? Sodium hypoiodide. So sodium hypoiodide in the presence of methyl ketones, the ketone which is having the methyl group attached to it. Okay, so this will undergo haloform reaction. So what you should get now? CH3 COONA, sodium salt of a carboxylic acid, plus our iodoform CHI3. So here you will be getting as an I3. Why is it so? Because we have used a sodium hypoiodide. That is the reason I am getting as a iodoform. In case if I would use a sodium hypochlorite, I would have got a chloroform as we have seen earlier. Is that clear? Remember, this is also very much important. NaOH plus I2 gives you sodium hypoiodide. Even you can also test with C6H5. Take this CH3 instead of C6H5. So C6H5, C double bond O, CH3. One important thing, what is that? You should first see, in order to undergo this iodoform reaction, also a haloform reaction, our ketone should have this methyl group attached to it. Now what you'll be getting over here, C6H5 COO minus Na plus CHI3. What if in case if you are having as C6H5 C double bond O C6H5, can it undergo your haloform reaction? Of course not. Why is it so? Because here we could see that it is not having any methyl groups attached to the top of your carbonyl group. So what is the important funda we came to know with respect to the haloform reaction? So in order to carry out this haloform reaction, we require the aldehydes and ketones which are having the methyl groups attached to the carbonyl group. Only in that case only we can carry out the haloform reaction, and the product whatever you are going to get will be a sodium salt of a carboxylic acid along with the respective haloforms. And whatever the important product, that is a sodium salt of a carboxylic acid you are getting, it will be having one carbon atom less than that of the used carbonyl compound. Is that clear? An important thing. And how will you prepare those sodium hypohalides? By treating your halogens with your sodium hydroxide. So this part also you should get remembered. Nobody will give you directly NaOH and the direct koda chances irodilla. They can ask you in an indirect way, that is NaOH plus I2. What does it give you? So you should remember in that case. Okay. So this is our today's video's concept. We have studied about the reduction of the carbonyl compounds, and we came to know that whenever you're going to reduce your carbonyl compounds in the presence of, it may be your zinc amalgam in a concentrated HCl or hydrazine in the presence of KOH in ethylene glycol, it will be giving you hydrocarbons. I repeat, hydrocarbons. Similarly, when methyl ketones were reduced, when they were oxidized in the presence of haloform, you are going to get what are the products you're going to get? Sodium salt of an carboxylic acid and a haloform. Is that clear? So these are called as what? Haloform reactions. Very much important part. So in the next video we are going to see certain important aspects, that how will you distinguish, I repeat, how will you distinguish your aldehydes and ketones? Okay, very much important. Two important tests are present. If you have been given with an aldehyde and a ketone and you have been asked to say that in which beaker you are having an aldehyde, so in that scenario I will be giving you certain important test, okay, which will, by seeing its observation, the color changing or the observation, will come to know that the given beaker whether they are having aldehydes or ketones. Okay, that will be seen in our next video.